How about now? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now? Okay, cool. Sorry. My audio settings got a little wonky for a second there. Apologies. Um Saucy, nice to see you. Mish, Azel, Armadilla, KG, nice to see you. Abdul, nice to see you. Yali, always good to see you, Yali and Saucy, and part of my old crew, some very lovely guys. I do love to see you guys hopping in again, back and forth while we start to kind of pick things up here. So um, I will. I'll try to be as concise as possible today. Keep things as straightforward as need be. Um, the big thing being that the ambassador program is live. That is a big step forward from the previous, of course, as this was realistically talked about for quite some time, right? But never fully brought forward. One second. Sorry, my dog opened my door. But yes, basically, we have officially launched the Sahara AI Ambassador Program. You will notice that we have decided to change how the programs were working in the community that come alongside the ambassador program. So this was previously the moderators program. So for everybody listening or that is listening going forward, there will no longer be the regular moderators program. It didn't line up with the vision of what it meant to be a I would say more so foot forward community member and ambassador, as the overlap is too much. So, and we were very much lacking in activity and other programs, and it was mainly just upkeep at a certain point, right? So we needed to take things in a different direction, and I decided with the ambassador program that I would grandfather some of the moderators in if they were interested as the first test group. So this is the first group, as well as a few other community members that I picked out, like Armadilla, for example, and Mativ, um, to kind of go through this initial process. And I'm going to break things down so that it makes a little more sense when we're looking at a program like this, right? And now Saucy and Yali, for example, were a part of my previous ambassador program at Galaxy. I ran that for about 3 years, and it was originally, I think we had like 10 people, and we grew to 60. I think we were 80 at one point, but essentially, I want to follow a similar growth structure where we are looking at, because I've gotten a lot of questions over the last day where it is like, oh, how soon will we see new members? Now, that partially depends on the progress of the program, right? And in a sense, um, making sure that things are in the right direction so that we can bring on more people. I obviously, from my side, there are results that I want to hit, right? And then there's results that I want the contributors to hit. And if I can find that balance, we're going to grow this thing for sure. So I do have a lot of kind of background in this area, so I am excited to move forward with this program. And the bigger thing that I wanted to talk about alongside that is how it connects to the community, how the ambassador program affects everybody overall, right? Because obviously, at the end of the day, not everybody gets to be an ambassador in the program, right? And I know some people will look at that and think, I can't participate in this. What does this have to do with me? Right? Now, when designing the program, this is the biggest factor that I took into place when we looked at putting forward the ambassador program. It was, how is everybody going to feel about this? How are they going to experience this alongside the ambassadors, right? Because I know that I can put together a program where we can focus value on quality and consistent contributions. But the best way to do that is to not mass onboard. As soon as you start mass onboarding to an ambassador program, you're just getting the, I would say, large amounts of like more so spam work. And then you're just kind of looking for a few good pieces here and there. But it does become a lot more difficult overall. So going back to the mention of what the community means alongside the ambassador program, right? So, in the simplest form, an ambassador is someone that makes contributions, right? Contributions go into points. I'll give you guys an example of how the system works, right? So, for an ambassador currently, if that user completes a certain amount of contributions, right? And they hit a certain level of contributions, they receive a reward instance. That reward instance is right now a set amount. We are working on some different numbers and different points values as we kind of tweak things out and find the right angle, because we want to make sure that we are only rewarding users for the, like I mentioned, consistent and quality work, right? It's about changing the narrative of the Sahara community and how it works alongside the product and the marketing together, right? There was a disconnect in the past, and that's what we're aiming to fix with this program. So once a user hits that reward instance, they can then get the same amount of points to hit the instance again, right? There are obviously very different ways to earn the points from development, right? For example, one of our previous moderators, Alex, was a bot developer. That is a great way to get involved. That's one thing I'm very keenly looking forward to seeing. There are educational events, there's educational material, there is social media content, and there's also educational social media content, as well as in chat events, product focus events, whole nine yards, right? Articles is another big one that can count towards as a contribution. But here's the thing, right? All of these ways for ambassadors to contribute, I am going to open up that on the community side for everybody to contribute as well, right? So, what that's going to look like is we don't want things to be so separate, right? We don't want users to be like, okay, well, what I'm doing here doesn't matter, right? So, what I'm putting forward next alongside the ambassador program is going to be a step by step kind of process and user flow where we are giving a direction alongside the ambassador program, right? So someone joins the community, they can follow the different activities, they can contribute in their own different ways. And as they do these contributions, we will implement a new point system that does cover the broader community alongside the ambassador program. And those two will go hand in hand, letting a person go through the different layers, right? So, for example, just to make it simple, there could be status one, status two, status three, right? Status one is the most simplest version, right? Any and everybody is going to be in status one, because if you have one simple instance of contributions to the community, you're in status one, right? As you complete different actions within the community and participate in different events, either run by the ambassadors or myself or other community members, we're actually going to open up a broad events submission system, and community members can submit their own event ideas, and we'll basically do it like a lottery. So users can get that funded, they can be reward other users, right? Some of these events will be funded, some won't. It's just due to the fact of obviously we can't fund every single one. So there is an angle of contributing for the reward and contributing because you want to contribute, right? That is something that was forgotten, I think, over time in the Web3 space, right? That we want to see people um, giving and then us giving back, right? But if things are too formal in that sense, we end up in these predicaments where there's over promising, right? And I don't want to over promise anything, right? Because I only want to make sure I can deliver what I can deliver, being the best that I can give to you guys. So there will be a broad point system for the community to go through these status levels. And when we're looking at these status levels, nominations are going to be a big aspect of that. A good example of this to explain would be if I'm looking at Azel, right? Azel and Mativ. They're two regular community members. So we can include Mish too, right? Azel is educating users in the product channels, right? And Mish is helping Azel run an event on DSP tasks and how to get involved. When Mativ sees that activity from Mish and Azel, I'm going to open up a nomination channel where Mativ and Mish can actually nominate Azel for that going above and beyond for the community, right? And I will be looking at that nominations channel in particular for some different specifics that I can and can't say as far as when it comes to what will be rewarded and what won't. Because obviously, not every nomination will be rewarded, but they will get points. Every nomination will be equal to points, and we will kind of see where this system goes. Obviously, we need to test and tweak as it happens, but that is a great example where Mativ sees Mish and Azel working together and nominates them within the chat. Azel then earns a certain amount of status points after a certain amount of contributions and nominations going through everything in the community. And then Azel reaches status level 2, right? Now, status level 2 is going to be a place within the community where there'll be more consistent opportunities to have a reward instance for a general community member, right? Someone that is status 2 is someone who's very well known, very talkative, very educated, right? And we will work with them, right, to grow themselves within the community. And then finally, status 3 would be someone that has gone above and beyond consistently over and over and over and is super well known within the community and well known by the team and myself, right? Now, if we had a status 3 person, for example, in this sense, we're going to take Resolute, right? We'll take Resolute and we'll take F, right? Resolute and F have gone through the community. They've made consistent contributions that have been deemed quality. They've both received many nominations from other community members. Their points level has reached the highest amount possible, right? They've hit status 3. Now, what that will open up is a basically a bounty board for the status 3 users. And status 3 will realistically not be super easy to get at the start as we test it out. Obviously, I need to stress test points to reward ratios, things like that, etc. What I can and can't give. But for example, once you're in status 3, there can be different, a lot more simple ways to be rewarded for your efforts long term. So this being the biggest aspect of creating a path, right? Because when we're looking at these examples, we're looking at Azel, who went from status 1 to status 2. And then we're looking at Resolute, and we're looking at F, who went from status 1 to status 2 to status 3. Those that are in status 3 are, I would say, more looked at for chances to join the ambassador program as well, long term, just as we grow. It won't have any change right now because there will be no status 3s to start. So don't worry, I'm not picking favorites right now. Uh, for sure. I'm making sure to be as fair as possible when going through all of the applications. But basically, yeah, a great example, Mish, your chess events that you host regularly, if you have particular fans of those events that love it, they can give you a nomination for that, right? Those types of events and that kind of general, community love that you're willing to share with others is what I want to highlight going forward. Before I continue, do you guys have any questions on anything I've just mentioned now, or is there anything you want me to re-clarify so I can make sure that I have not confused you with anything? Because I know I am going through a lot, obviously. So basically, Mish, alongside the ambassador focus, there's going to be a sort of dedicated pathway for users who are consistently contributing like you to reach a higher level of points within the community, increasing your community collective status points. So we're going to have a new point system that's going to come out. And you're going to be able to be nominated for the events that you are doing. Um, and we will be able to reward you for those nominations over time. There is no guarantee on a nomination that it will equal a reward, but it is a pattern that I'm introducing so that we can do more general, like broad spectrum rewards, and that we can say, for example, you are planning a few consistent chess events coming up, right? And you reach out to me from the community, right? And you have been running these events and you're like, hey, I really want to give more to the people, right? So we can talk that through, right? Me and you. And if you are a certain status level, so status level two, for example, I can put forth probably a little bit of rewards to that event, would be an example, right? Obviously, I can't give you guys money figures at the moment because this is just a hypothetical for the call. But yeah, that's the kind of process that I want to include going forward. I want to open up like discussion lines between myself and those that want to contribute that aren't ambassadors as well, right? Because ambassadors are a more formal process. Whereas community members, obviously, with there being a few thousand people, some at time to time, it makes it a little more difficult to create a formal process, right? So I'm going to work in aspects that kind of mimic the ambassador program, so that we can highlight the best community members alongside those ambassadors, and the ambassadors are going to be looking at the community as well to essentially nominate you guys in that process so that you can know that when you're doing your contributions within the community that we have a specific place that it's highlighted and shown off, right? Because in the past there is the question around, is a certain contribution valuable, right? All nominations that come from ambassadors will have to go through me first. So every single nomination that is confirmed by an ambassador and posted in the nomination channel will be getting an okay from me. So you can know that it has my thumbs up as well, even if I'm not on the message. And then finally, from other community members, those are open and free game. But obviously, if we need to obey the formatting rules, if you spam the chat, you will be banned, of course. But essentially, Saucy, you are correct. Generally, community members and ambassadors can put forth events for consideration and be nominated if they are run successfully. So the point system is actually going to include everybody. Or wait, am I misunderstanding your question? Yes, part of the yeah. So part of the ambassador program is monitoring these community contributions. That's also why I'm consolidating the chats. So you guys will notice that we have cut down some, and we will cut down more chats so that everything is very neat and tidy in one place. Now, I'm also going to let you know that, for example, Mish, right? Say you run 3 to 4 really solid events, right? But you feel like things were pretty crazy and maybe they were missed, right? Maybe they weren't noticed. You can go ahead and share with me that, right? You can let me know, right? That you think like, hey, I think this had a lot of value in this way, and we can talk about it. The question is, will the system work since you only started recording all contributions? Uh, no, so you will do it naturally, right? And the points system there will be partially automated, and then the nominations themselves will be a set amount of points given. So it will be semi-automated. Yeah. We will also limit the chats that they can be hosted in so that we know where everything is. Now, when we are so basically in a broad way, right? If you want to look at it like this, right? There is the ambassador program where it is more formal, right? And they are completing a very set line of different tasks that are guided by myself and the team, right? This is a more like straight line focused group, right? The community does not need to be fully disconnected from that, right? So I'm going to be working in aspects to the community where we can keep an equal style of rewarding different contributions infrequently to different members as they increase their status level through the automated point system. Does that make sense? So how many investors? So the first group, as I mentioned in the live, you can meet the first group of test pilots, right? And I am still reviewing applications. I've been reviewing applications since I launched it. There is a short list I have right now. Obviously, I can't say the list at the moment, but I have been going through some differences, etc. So the first group, though, I basically what I did was I canceled the moderator program and I shifted it to the ambassador program as the first test pilot group. So they are the initial pilots of the ambassador program, and they are going to work with me to basically grow this program to bigger and better levels. Is this most simple way of looking at it? Does experience at CV matters? No. So yes and no, right? KG. So look at it this way. I think that a CV matters in the sense of are you giving me the information on your resume or are you telling me a bit about who you are, right? I just want to see, part of your history. I want to see a little bit about who you are. I want to get a better understanding of some of the different things you've done in life because all of those different things have a different aspect on how you handle working with people, right? Because that's the biggest thing is we are working with people back and forth, right? So it does matter to an extent, but it's not the be all end all. For if you have a amazing application, you are an incredible community member, but your resume is like you don't have a lot of experience, but you have the personality to show for it that kind of goes into a more community perspective. That's an aspect that I care about a lot, right? Because I know it's not just statistics or experience on paper that means or defines your value, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So, uh, Dan, I can't give you the information. I can't give you the information. Just know that I'm going down the list one by one and reviewing them. So I will be reviewing every single application. It is going to take me some time, but that is what I will explain next, right? So essentially, through the process, on a month to month basis, based on what we're looking at for activity levels, community response, quality and consistency, I will increase the levels of ambassadors, right? So if we are looking at October, right, I would like to onboard the first new group of ambassadors to the program. I don't have an exact number of what that will be right now, but I'd be looking for the second week of October, probably, or just the middle of October. I'd like to do kind of middle or the beginning of the month. Month to month might be the easiest. Um, but I know that also people get a little impatient, which is fair. But it is a lengthy process, right? Because I want this to work in the best way it can, and it's going to take me some time. Yes, Dan. I mentioned that right now we have the moderators, like I mentioned, yeah, and I will be onboarding new either in the middle of October or at the end of October, depending on how the program runs. So I'd be looking at like October 15th, possibly. Yeah, Michelle, let me do this. Let me answer your question here. Apologies. I just want to see Dan's response real quick before I can. I don't have an exact number right now. I want to grow the program over time to 60 if we can. That's my ultimate goal. It won't be 60 immediately, right? We'll probably go in numbers of either 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 to start. So basically, how the rewards work is I have gone with a system where I do have a sort of set amount for a reward instance, and I have balanced the reward instances among points opportunities for contributions. Now, a contribution can only be confirmed for a point after it's quality checked by myself. There is no other way for an ambassador to earn points other than myself confirming that they made a quality contribution, right? Now, what that means is when a ambassador hits a certain amount of contributions, that is when they will earn a singular reward instance, right? Now, we will be tweaking and balancing the points over time to make sure that the direction is in the correct way, as well as reward earnings to points ratios. So that's something that we'll be working on over time. But essentially, the long-term goal for myself is 60 ambassadors. Um, Currently, right now, if and when we are doing the new onboardings of particular choices, I would say 3 to 5 right now. Funny enough, Azel, depending on yes, depending, very depending. I'm never not open because it counts to culture, right? Part of what we want to change here, and part of what I want to change here, right, is that we look at things from a perspective of what's the culture that we are putting forward in the Sahara community, right? What are we putting across to each other? And I think a good example of where that went wrong is the My First Agent, right? The My First Agent event was a bit of a mess in a sense of people were not on the same page, right? There were, a lot of fighting back and forth, and it wasn't what the community should be. And when it gets to a point like that is when we need to take a step back and look at how much are we valuing each other and how much are we valuing the culture of us being here for each other, right? So one of the big things that I'm going to be looking at going forward are users that pick each other up, right? Users that help each other out, users that educate each other, users that have events with a focus towards those around them, right? It's important to remember that we are in a community together. It's a community collective. This is what it is. It's a collective group of people. The ambassadors are the curators of that amazing collective, and we are going to make them work hand in hand so that everybody can feel some form of value from what they're doing over time. And now I will let you know this. I'm going to work consistently to try to make this the best program it can be. And if there are ever any issues that do come forth, we will always make sure that we take those into account, any of that feedback, and that we can uh, change it and tweak it in the right direction, right? Because it's never going to be perfect 24/7, but we're going to aim for it. So I do and will appreciate everyone's feedback as we figure this out together. So, but currently, right now, Mativ is actually a fantastic example of a first ambassador. Mativ is super responsive. right? He is very, I say, content oriented in the sense of he wants to create things that help others understand what we're doing in the space, right? And the big thing is that takes a focus on building other people up, right? So it's great to see that we have people already filling the shoes, right? Wanting to push other people forward. Let me just go back to Michigan's question. So, is there anything that caught the eye, or maybe there are suggestions for people who haven't applied yet? So, the biggest thing that I want to mention to those making an application, right, is partially what I just mentioned about educating others, building each other up, right? But it's just presenting yourself in a way that lets me know that I can work with you in a more person to person sense, right? I want to see that you're organized. I want to see that you love the community. I want to see that you have contributed or are still willing to contribute down the line. Of course, right? You want to show your stuff, and I also want to have the feeling that I can talk to you as a person and understand you, if that makes sense. Now, I know that's a little bit nuanced, right? But the most simplest way of looking at your question, Mishkan, is just be yourself. That's the biggest thing, right? When we are looking at a community of people, we have a wonderful group of people being themselves and helping each other out. That is the reason why we're all here today. It's what got me into the space, and it's what I'm looking for. People that want to help others are, very organized and responsive. The biggest thing is let me know how responsive you are. I want people that are going to talk, 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 right? We can't get anywhere if we're running a program with no feedback, right? That's the biggest thing I'd say that I'm looking for in ambassadors are those that can be actionable. So their actions make sense. Their actions move things in a direction, right? So we're looking at that, and then we're looking at responsiveness. So those I would say are the two really big focuses. Funny enough, Michigan is on my list. So from previous. I do have I have interestingly enough, I have a previous list of people that I had looked at before starting the program, but I did have a set kind of beginner, smaller list. So yeah, so if there's issues with limitations on speaking English well, don't yeah. So to an extent, right, there needs to be a level of more so written English, right? But I never want to put someone in the shoes of I can't participate because of my language, right? Now, obviously, I need to be able to communicate with them in some way, right? That's really important. Um, but there is a ton of value in the mass amount of cultures that we've gathered in one place. I want to see, like Tom, for example, I want to see more and more activity through these different regional areas, right? I believe it was you who messaged me about doing the AMA a little bit ago. I want to see more culture focused activities, right? So I don't want people to think that they don't have a chance because of their English level. I'm the one that speaks one language, right? So um, realistically, you guys that are speaking two languages are better than me. So it's about looking at it in a way of valuing everybody wherever they are in the world, right? It's that's what should matter. Any other questions currently? Let me know if any questions. Okay. Overall, the goal is to create a pathway for users, whether or not they're on the program, right? We are working to We are working to connect the product to the people and the people to the marketing, right? So, want you guys to feel valued again. That's my ultimate goal. It's going to take a little bit of time. I don't have an answer overnight, of course, but we are going to find and build back a fantastic community culture. And type check. I did see your initial application as well. I meant to respond. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you guys do send me DMs, I think I get like probably like like I get like 30 DMs a day realistically. So if I do take some time to respond, I'm very sorry. It is really tough to keep up like 10 plus conversations at a time in DMs. So I do really appreciate any patience during that period. As I'm going through applications, I've been working on the plans for the future and trying to find balance, right? So, um, yeah, Resolute. I believe there should be a summary of this call. I think the first few minutes that you missed was the quick explanation of. I think Saucy. I think they missed a short explanation around the ambassador program and the community layers. So I'll give you just one more quick summary, guys, for anyone that has joined or anyone that has missed out before I close out. So I'll give you a short summary right now. So step one is the ambassador program, right? The sorry, boy, what time there, friend? Can you make sure next time will be after 2 hours from? Ooh, I don't think I can do 2 hours after this time, but maybe I can find an earlier time. I will check your application, Crypto Coach. Don't worry, I will check everyone's. It's 1 a.m. for me when I started this call. So if I did it 2 hours later, I'd be starting it at 3 a.m. So that's a bit tough. Maybe I can do it my morning sometime soon. I'll try and find a balance. Michigan, can you save these? Can you DM me them? Those in particular, so I can check back on that. I don't. I anything that I so during the lives, if there's anything I can't immediately answer, I will try and check back on it for you guys. If I can get an answer, I will. But fair warning, there are some things that obviously I can and can't get answers for depending on timelines, right? But I will check. Okay, let me do a quick summary. Resolute, are you still here? Anyone else that did join a little bit after? So, step one. Oh, I have one more question. All right, sorry, I'll take this question. To apply for the ambassador program, there are two ways, which are direct applicant and nomination from contribution. Does every member who wants to enter the program need to fill the form, or is it not necessary? So, um, I want your applications first, right? Oh, yeah, that's totally fine, Mitch. That's totally fine. I want your applications first, but it doesn't mean that it's the be all end all, right? There are more than enough opportunities that we can also include choices from incredible contributions. A good example that I will give you guys is in my previous ambassador program, the number one top contributor of all time that was consistently beating out every other contributor was someone who never even really submitted an application. They just they just did it. They just contributed. I found them in the community contributing. I said I gotta have you on the ambassador program. He joined. He actually got hired by the Galaxy team, and yeah, he was incredible. Right, he was just incredible. So um, It's about the different aspects, right? Yeah, the ambassadors can also nominate. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna stop the questions for a second, and I'm gonna give a quick summary. Right. Step one is the ambassador program. What the ambassador program is a more so focused group of curators that are contributing through a set list of different styles of contributions. Those contributions will be confirmed by myself after submission. The only way that they can earn points for a contribution is if I have given it the go ahead, right? Now, what that means is a contributor will be earning points over time. Once they've earned a set amount of contribution points, that equals to a reward instance, right? Say, for example, and I'll give you a random number. It's a reward instance is worth $10, right? And it's every four contributions they get $10. That's a crazy number, I know, right? but those aren't the actual numbers. But basically, that's the flow, right? Every time that user gets confirmed four contributions, they get a reward instance. Now, that's the way that the points are tracked. It makes it simple, it makes it easy to understand, and we know that every single person that is earning a point for contribution has been quality checked by myself and my team. So that's the ambassador program, right? There is a focus towards connecting the community to the product and the product to the marketing better, right? It's about making the things mesh. The ambassador program is going to be a spearhead, essentially, of focus. Now, how the community works alongside the ambassador program is stage two. Now, talking about stage two is the Sahara Community Collective. You'll notice I've changed some of the wording, some of the discussion points, and how we are viewing things. This is a collective group of people that is better together. We need to preach educating others and building each other up within the community. That is the number one goal going forward, is creating a culture of helping each other, promoting each other, and recognizing each other's efforts in the best ways possible. Now, that doesn't mean that I can always give a direct reward for every contribution, right? But I will be implementing a half and half points and nomination system that can result in rewards over time through consistent contributions. Now, those general points, I will be giving initial instances of points to those that had previously contributed in different ways to the community. What this means is, for example, like the Sahara focus group, obviously not all of them could become immediate ambassadors. That was a completely different program run by a completely different person. This is a different program. Essentially, I have a list of everyone. So I have a list of the Prometheans. I have a list of the Ambassador Focus Group. I have a list of different contributions. I've been doing reviews, rundowns of everything, and so I will try to find a balance for that of an initial points. So next, with that, those users can earn points to increase their status level in the overall community. Right now, once you increase your status level overall through these different contributions, similar to the ambassador program, you will have more and more opportunities for confirmed rewards, right? So someone that is status level two that has contributed for quite some time, that user is going to have more opportunities through the nominations they've received to get direct rewards from myself. Alongside that, once someone has become stage three, they will get access to essentially a similar board like the ambassadors, where they will be able to take on bounties and earn more instances of rewards as well. So yeah, Azel. So the status creates a different level of opportunity, right? So we're going to work in new and different rewards to these in other ways as well over time. Like similar, like if I can do subscriptions, things like that, like small things through parts of these that I can do, I will. But basically, someone that is status level one is the basic level of the community. Someone that is status level two, say Azel, you're making more contributions, and you are status level two. I am going to look at that in a sense of I'm going to work directly with you to get you rewarded and let you create events and processes that reward others. It's essentially creating a better line of communication and understanding on what I'm looking at in the community, right? Because if I look at, for example, the Promethean role right now, um, not every single person in the Promethean list contributed in the exact same way as each other Promethean, right? What I need to understand better is the overall, um, personal interest of people, right? So I need to see that people are contributing consistently and spending time consistently, uh, promoting and figuring out the values that I've mentioned here today, like building each other up, helping each other out, educating, and going through this kind of DEAI space. Now, someone that is status level 2 is going to have more opportunities for reward. Someone that is status level 3 is going to have direct, guaranteed opportunities for reward. But the status level 3 list will be a lot smaller. And the status level 3s are usually a stepping stool to becoming an ambassador as well, another way. So essentially, the community will work as a springboard to push you up through the status levels to a point where someone that is status level 3, right? If, say, for example, Saucy is status level 3, that is someone that has consistently contributed in different valuable ways to the community, to themselves, to the project, and to everyone around them, right? Now, looking at a person like that, that's someone that I want to directly bring onto the ambassador program immediately, right? So it's not the only way. There can still be application and interview, but I just want people to know that their movements and the things that they do will have an outcome and a direction, right? Because right now there was no direction, right? You were earning the points just to claim merch, and some people couldn't even claim merch. So we're going to work on creating more different aspects. I will actually be running a event, I think, next week that we might start to kind of to kick things off. A little bit of some Twitter raids and some fun aspects like that. A little bit of stuff with points where we're going to be doing like some silly stuff and some more serious stuff too. But I will be kicking off a few small events with rewards as well, so that are coming up soon. But yeah, so obviously I know that me just talking does not fully put the picture in place. I will be coming out soon with some documents for you guys to better understand the structure and the layers of the community that we're going to be creating. So I will probably, for example, like the focus role, same thing. I will be removing and distributing points. As far as the day when I announce a new group of ambassadors, like I mentioned, I'm looking at 2 to 3, maybe 5, either mid October or end of October. I do appreciate patience right now because I did just launch it. I need to know that it's working consistently before I bring on the new guys, right? So if things go well for these first few weeks, I will have new guys brought on, and I guaranteed we'll have something at the end of the month, though. Any other specific questions before I close out? Yeah, so the way the channels will work, so it's a little more clear in my explanation. So, for example, we're gonna have the nomination channel, right? Where only nominations will be in that channel, right? Now, nominations from the ambassadors are quality checked by me beforehand, right? So, an ambassador's nomination is also a confirmed nomination from myself, right? But ambassadors will bring every nomination to me first before they hit the board, right? The community can also give each other nominations, but obviously spamming and poor explanations are not going to result in anything, right? So your actionable messaging is going to matter, right? How well are you able to express the reasoning behind your nomination, right? You can't just say, hey, I think Type Check should get a nomination because I think he's cool, right? Type Check is really cool, but it doesn't equal a nomination, right? He is cool, but that's not really resulting in a nomination, right? So it's about making sure that you're expressing the right intentions, and those are the nominations that are going to matter. Now, alongside that, the events chats will and other chats will be consolidated into one specific area so that we can make sure that everything is happening in one area so it can be monitored more closely. So I can be a little more open about some of those different instances, right? For example, yeah, yeah. So those will too. But if we're doing those, they going forward, we're gonna do a review of all of the current fun events, and we are going to confirm specifics. And we're going to need community members that want to host their own events to bring a written plan before everyone so that we can be organized. But a quick example of being a little more clear with nominations. So, say for example, Type Check puts out a contribution, and Yali, who's typing in the chat, nominates Type Check for this amazing event. Say Type Check did a event where he actually walked users live how to complete DSP tasks, and they didn't know how to do it, right? And he helped a brand new user learn how to get involved with the platform. Or let's just say he ran a class on better data management, right? Right? Say he ran a class on better data privacy, and it had nothing to do with Sahara, right? That's okay too, because that's also valuable for the community. But obviously, I there's balance, right? But in that nomination, depending on the nomination, when I do host lives like this, you guys can ask me about nominations, and I will, depending on some of those, be able to explain the reasoning on why it was a confirmed nomination or where something was a confirmed role. So we're going to make things a lot more organized. We are going to have some fun events, and we're also going to put a focus on a lot more educational aspects. I never, ever, 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 ever want to see someone participate in an event and speak poorly of another person or somebody else that wants to contribute or wants to be involved. And we're going to erase the past. All the past is said and done. Don't even worry about it. But going forward, we build each other up. We do not take each other down. If there is uh, those aspects in the chat, like there was some racism in the Promethean chat. Going forward, I want to be clear under every single circumstance, no matter what, if there is an instance of racism in any form, you will be immediately banned, no questions asked. Gone, for good, done. And I'm not kidding. I want to be clear with that. That's a zero tolerance. There was some racism in the Promethean chat. So that's a bit different, Hazel. If you're messing around with your buddy and you guys are joking and having fun with each other, I can understand, right? I can see. I'm someone that understands context, right? But if say Matib goes in the chat and is racist to Draz because he's angry, then Matib's gone, right? So it's just about making sure that even when we get upset, right? Because I totally understand anger and, like, especially a long term resentment and things like that, right? I totally understand people can be upset, but I want you to know that no matter how upset you are, I'm going to try to level with you guys. I'm going to try and listen. I want you to know it's never hard feelings on my side, okay? So feel free to give me your feedback, talk to me, let me know how you're doing, right? But just be respectful, right? If you're respectful with me, I'll be respectful with you. Um, that is where I will close out today. I'll give you guys some more updates throughout next week. I appreciate everyone that came in here and spent some time. I am going through the applications still. You guys, if anyone has sent me a DM, I think I've seen every single one of them. I haven't replied to all of them, but I am going through all of them. So don't worry. I've got you guys all on my mind. I do have a list as well. But yeah, we're gonna grow this real big. We're gonna give some rewards. We're gonna see some contributions. We're gonna build each other up, and at the same time, we're gonna contribute for the great feeling of helping another. Right? That's the goal. Yes, rewards are nice. I'm gonna try and reward where I can. You guys know this. Obviously, I can't give you something for everything, but just know I'm finding the balance with you guys too. Okay, and that at the end of the day, we're here for each other. So that's what I'm going to aim for, and that's what we'll do together. We're going to build each other up. We are a community collective. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen in today and chat with me. I will try to do this call every Friday, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Yeah, sounds good.